what's good, self-direct investors? I hope you're all doing great, and I want to welcome you back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Jordan. I'm the mind behind Make More Capital, and today we're coming at you with a midweek update in the world of cannabis. Now, before we jump in, if you enjoy this video or you learn something, please just leave a like on it as it really helps out my channel. And of course, if you want to learn how to take advantage of this generational investment opportunity, subscribe below so that you don't miss any future videos, and there's plenty of content for you to go back, rewatch, and educate yourself with. I've tried to put all the news and facts in one place so that you can watch episodes over time to learn about the evolution of the industry, identify top companies that you keep seeing pop up, and take advantage whenever you feel ready if you wish to do so. We've got a lot of news this week, so we're going to run through it. Wanted to start with this one from MJ Stock Trader, sharing this editorial at USA Today, highlighting the reality of where we sit, and that time for change is here. Federal ban on cannabis use causes more harm than good. Now more than 2/3 of the country favors legalization. That includes 83% of Dems, 71% of independents, and 50% of Republicans. So again, we love seeing this big headline highlighting the sentiment shift towards a more positive outlook on cannabis, especially from usatoday.com. And while it is a well-written article and we love that it is spreading the awareness that we're advocating for, I do think that USA Today could have done a much better job actually educating the general populace as to why the federal ban causes more harm than good and provide some examples, as opposed to just saying this is what most Americans believe right now, and for that reason we should do this because most Americans want it to happen. Should have been done a long time ago, but again, no mention of the harm reduction. You introduce a cannabis dispensary where none existed before, and opioid overdoses go down by 25%. No mention of impaired driving going down. So a lot of good things could have been added in here, but nonetheless, still we love to see this. And so with that, I wanted to share this one from Brady Cobb as he highlights quite the pivot. As Tom Engel shares that Senator Cory Booker says he's open to passing cannabis banking legislation as long as there's some relief for people with past cannabis convictions. And while we've heard this before, we do like to see that Booker is shifting his tone from "I will do everything in my power to lay down and block the SAFE Banking Act from happening," screwing over the minority entrepreneurs and small business owners that voted for us Dems in order to get a chance in this industry, to now saying, "I'm a compromise guy." How ideal. And so glad that Booker has shifted his tone, better late than never. And so while this comes before the November election, it does just again lead us to believe that could the Dems pull something off in the form of a SAFE plus Climb Act plus the Biden administration keeping their campaign promises and granting clemency? We don't know. We're going to have to wait and find out, but better having Booker say this than not. So with this, just wanted to share the outlook or some insight from two people that happen to work in PR and politics. And so with that, we've got Bill Sklar and then Pete Landrum. So Pete Landrum, we'll start with him. He's worked with Brady Cobb for a very long time as a lobbyist trying to get SAFE passed. And so he shares his 2 cents on the Hill last week talking with members and staff. CAOA is largely on the shelf, dead on arrival as we expected, and energy is now gathering around a version of SAFE post-midterms. And I think this is the one thing that he adds in there that most people see and are like, come on, really? Are you kidding me? But keep in mind, that doesn't mean that's the case. It's just him sharing what he believes to be the case, still speculation. So with that, some Republicans and Dems appear to be guiding the effort toward incremental progress with SAFE, maybe SAFE Plus, decent chance of success. So just wanted to share what Pete has most recently tweeted as of July 31st. But with that, we've got this one from Bill Sklar, who is a view of the PR, public affairs, and political arena from the perspective of an experienced consultant. So again, just someone in the know, not necessarily saying he's going to be right, but wanted to share this from apparently Michael Auerbach tweeted, and he blocked me so I cannot actually see him, but he says, "What I am also hearing is that there is a serious Senate consideration in adding the Climb Act to SAFE. So SAFE plus Climb, that would be a game changer for uplisting to U.S. exchanges and expand access to capital through SBA, MBDA, and CDFI." And so obviously this is a very different tone from what Pete Landrum said. But just wanted to share both of that because we don't actually know what's happening behind the scenes. All we can do is take in this information and try to plan accordingly for our own situations. While we much prefer that Bill is right in this context than Pete, these are still rumors as of right now. But it is reassuring that Rep. Ed Perlmutter is still optimistic about passing the cannabis banking bill, reiterating, "I'm going to get it across the finish line," said Rep. Ed Perlmutter. And so we just have to take his word for it from now until November, but he's not seeking re-election, and so that could possibly be the reason why he might stick his neck out, as Rep. Ed Perlmutter might prove to us to be one of the few decent humans left in Congress, sadly, before he does end up leaving. And with that, though, just wanted to share this development as cannabis class action suit over insurance moves to federal court in New Mexico. And so just to highlight, a class action lawsuit challenging health insurance companies' refusal to cover the cost of medical cannabis has been moved to a federal court for now. Well, this does sound promising, especially as first glance you see federal court and you're like, wait, is that the Supreme Court? But I don't know if it goes state, federal, or Supreme Court. So let me know in the comments, otherwise I'll just Google it after. But after reading through the article, there wasn't a lot of conclusive information as to when this federal court could take it up or when we can see this concluded. And another lawyer in the article even said that moving it to a federal court from state court is more of a stalling tactic than anything else. So Not sure what this will lead to, but just wanted to provide an update, as obviously the higher court this could go to, the bigger of an impact that could have if we got a ruling for cannabis as opposed to the insurers. And so with that, just wanted to share this one from Queens of the Trade, highlighting that he's at Lollapalooza in Illinois, and the amount of festival peeps smoking cannabis is pretty much everyone. Over 400K. MSOs get a nice weekend boost in sales. And so the good news is, while I did check this morning, Illinois' adult use cannabis sales for the month of July is not out yet. It should be out in the next few days, and so I'll feature that on my Sunday video. But what we saw last year in July was a massive jump in sales thanks to Lollapalooza. Summertime, good vibes, and everyone feeling good. And so I imagine it's going to have the same effect this year. And so I will report on that when we do get that. But so on to some MSO news. As Trulieve 2 hold their second quarter 2022 results conference call on August 10th, 2022. And so that's 7 days away, and they're going to do that at 8:30 a.m. So you can grab the link to the conference call down here if you wanted to tune in. But good to see Trulieve squeezing into next week, as they'll be releasing their Q2 earnings literally a week from today. While Trulieve is set to open its first branded dispensary in Arizona, as Trulieve tries to expand their brand across the country as well, especially after purchasing Harvest and keeping a lot of the Harvest assets because of the brand recognition that they've gotten early on in Arizona. Good to see them trying to open more Trulieve stores as well. Grand opening on August 2nd in downtown Phoenix's Roosevelt Row neighborhood. And so more information to learn about the plans that Trulieve likely has in Arizona going forward. While Cresco Labs is set to release or hold their second quarter 2022 earnings conference call on August 17th, 2022. So not next week, but the week after. And then you can grab the link down here if you wanted to tune into that. But as Cresco Labs is my largest position, I am looking forward to seeing what progress they have made. At the same time, happy to share this one from Jay-Z Macklin. As Columbia Care shares, today we introduced Stash Cash across 14 markets in our portfolio of retail brands. This marks the broadest cannabis loyalty app launch to date. And so while I'm always a little skeptical about these app things, just because I'm not a person that likes to use too many apps, doesn't mean that many other people will not find these useful, and they will, be very happy to earn points for the dollars that they spend to get some free, cannabis or some free deals along the way. And so regardless, just happy to relay that what Macklin says about Columbia Care and Cresco Labs giving him a boner, I'd be lying if I said this news doesn't give me a little morning wood, especially when this merger is a done deal. Woo! Can't fucking wait for that. Well, we got this one from Todd Harrison. Roth on Verano brand. So despite all of the recent hiccups from Verano, it seems like Roth is still slightly bullish on them, adding the expansive footprint offers upside to capture rapid growth of the overall U.S. cannabis market while continuing to scale with strategic capital allocation, ensuring future growth, reiterating a buy price target of 26, and I believe that would be 26 USD, as it doesn't specify Canadian. So more information on Verano. Concerns with restatements despite missteps, a leading position to MSO. So more information on Verano if you wanted to pause to read, highlighting strong business position for growth, current round of restatements, financial reporting and liabilities weighing on valuation. A bit more, NJ ramp and its highly profitable Florida, Illinois footprints finance additional growth. Second quarter 2022 preview, valuation disconnected from robust scaled footprint and investment thesis overall. And so that is what Roth has to say on U.S. cannabis, but take it with a grain of salt as it is still speculation. Well, we've got this thread from Reasonus4 and just wanted to share it because I did find it quite informative. A thread on Air Wellness. Let's hear bear case from MSOS community. Some of my bullish takes. Number one, balance sheet cycle, massive reduction in capex at a time in massive increases of revenue. In 2021, Air added 62 dispensaries and 8 cultivation facilities with 2022 budget total of 193 million in non-recurring expenses. So more information down here, but just to highlight their execution in Florida. But I recommend just grabbing the link if you wanted to read the whole thing, especially if you're interested in learning a little bit more about Air Wellness. And so with that, some more investment firms. So again, take these all with a grain of salt as they are speculation. But thanks, Todd, for sharing so that we can look through them. Isaac Boltansky at BTIG on U.S. cannabis, highlighting Senator Booker appeared to conceptually embrace the importance of cannabis banking for once, thankfully. Given he previously opposed standalone cannabis banking legislation, we found this to be particularly noteworthy. So more information if you want to pause to read. But what is the latest on federal cannabis policy? Well, we've got this one from Pablo at Cantor on U.S. Cannabis. So thanks, Todd, for sharing this one. Has even noticed the shift in tone from Pablo, saying we think safe banking passage in the lame duck is now the worst case scenario. Really? Wow, love to hear that. As they add US MSO second quarter preview, we like the setup, or they like the setup for Green Thumb, and this comes from Cantor. So more on their investment summary and brief macro comments. You can pause to read if you like. While we've got this one from AGP on US Cannabis, as we provide an update to our BDSA monthly cannabis report, highlighting industry trends across 11 states. And according to BDSA data, the industry declined 0.8% month over month across the 11 markets in June, but up 2.5% on an average sales per day basis. So that is positive to hear, so you can pause to read a bit more information on what BDSA reported from AGP. So thanks, Todd, for sharing that one. While we got this one from Dennis Rudev sharing robust cannabis sector revenue growth expected, in particular in recreational and adult use cannabis, replacing the illicit market share. And so this one comes from Cowen, I believe. So thanks, Dennis, for sharing this one. Robust revenue growth still expected despite tempered expectations. Looking at total cannabis sales estimates from now until the end of the decade, including illicit cannabis sales in dark blue, medical in black, and then recreational in light blue. But do note that as states reform their laws organically and simply just do the right thing and realize the benefits of ending cannabis prohibition, that will give more Americans access to legal cannabis, and if they do it the right way and implement a strong adult use program, as many states have, and of course new states that have yet to do that can watch other states that have done it and implement the right sort of programs, that will, as a side effect, eat at the illicit market and hopefully bring more of these illicit sales into the legal market sales. And so as more states organically reform their laws over time, that will only expand the total addressable market for legal access to cannabis and allow more illegal sales to grow, as cannabis sales will trend up in the right direction from now until 2030. You best believe that. Well, we got this one from Todd Harrison, so thanks, Todd, for sharing Beacon on Maryland. And while Maryland is a medical-only market for now, they do have the question of legalization on the ballot for 2022, and I imagine it will be an overwhelming yes in Maryland. So with that, what Beacon has to say, Maryland sales up 2% month over month, surpasses 158,000 patients, with MSOs in the state with a large footprint being Columbia Care, Cresco Labs, Curaleaf, GTI, Trulieve, and Verano. So more information on Maryland update if you wanted to pause here to read. Also happy to share from MJ Biz Daily, as apparently changes to Maryland's medical cannabis program could boost sales. And so these are new changes that are coming in, I believe. Maryland regulators have made changes to the medical cannabis program that make it easier for patients to renew their medical cannabis IDs and reduce the cost of the cards, which would drive up patient numbers and lead to more sales from dispensaries. And so more information, basically just down here, the Maryland Medical Cannabis Commission acted to make ID cards valid for 6 years instead of only 3 and lowered the price of the cards from $50 to $25. The Baltimore Business Journal reported industry advocates and business owners have been calling for the changes, saying that renewed ID patient cards can often be difficult. And yeah, the less you have to do that, the happier cannabis patients will be. And so a bit more information down here if you want to pause to read. They don't necessarily say when these laws come into effect, but obviously anything that will help drive medical sales before they legalize for adult use in Maryland is a good thing. And so with that, some news out of Texas. So thanks, Todd, for sharing this one. As survey says, Texas GOP voters support medical cannabis treatment for chronic pain. Don't expect that from many Republicans, but they're starting to realize that cannabis is really just a medicine. If we don't look at it as a bad thing, it's not necessarily a bad thing. 64% of Republican primary voters in Texas favor legalizing medical cannabis for serious medical conditions, as 70% would choose to use medical cannabis over opioids for chronic pain. So take that, prohibitionists. More data to support what we already know. Well, Todd Harrison shares this one from normal.org, just highlighting cannabis-related ballot initiatives and referenda. So I'll put this link below if you wanted to read what each state is individually doing, but quite a collection so far, as it seems Arkansas, Maryland, Missouri, Nebraska, North Dakota, Ohio, Oklahoma, South Dakota, and Texas will all have some sort of ballot initiatives cannabis-related in November when we get there. So very much looking forward to seeing cannabis steal another election. Well, we've got a few studies before we head off. This one from Jungle Java. Cannabis purchases from unlicensed stores dropped in 2021 BC study finds. And so this is behind a paywall, so I'm just going to read the snippet here. But a BC stats study shows 17% of 25,000 participants reported buying pot from an unlicensed store in 2021, down from 56% in 2018. Now keep in mind, in 2018, we just legalized for adult use, and I think they only opened like a handful of dispensaries in most of the states before really ramping up in the coming years. And so obviously, when you do not have legal adult use dispensaries where you can buy legal cannabis from, people are going to turn to the black market. So this just reiterates what I mentioned a few slides back, especially looking at the total addressable market expand as illicit sales become legal sales. When you open dispensaries and you give people the choice and the ability to go know what they're buying, they will choose legal outlets over illegal ones. And so with that, this one from Graham Farrar, again, another study, I've reported this one many times, but from normal.org, legalization of retail cannabis sales not linked to any increase in youth use. In fact, youth use actually goes down. For those aged 12 to 20 years old, the study estimates support the hypothesis that RCL's recreational cannabis laws did not affect youth use rates. And so you can grab the link below. I'll put the link below if you wanted to read into that, but I've shared this study many times. I don't know if it's the same one, or hopefully it's, multiple studies finding the same thing. That would be even better. But nonetheless, youth use goes down when you legalize, not up. So take that, prohibitionists. Well, Todd Harrison shares pot users are less prone to sinus problems. Very interesting. This one comes from usnews.com. But could smoking pot somehow help keep sinus problems at bay? I don't know. I don't have sinus problems, and I do enjoy consuming cannabis. So maybe there's a bit of correlation there, but more information in the article. I will put it down in the description if you wanted to read it and learn more. Well, last few ones, Aaron Idlehite shares this one. And I love to share these results, as journals.sagepub.com finds researchers have associated cannabis use with risk for psychosis, cognitive impairment, and traffic accidents. It's one of the few arguments that prohibitionists still cling to, is that cannabis is dangerous for these reasons. However, this review shows that the risk for psychosis, cognitive impairment, and traffic accident associated with cannabis use is generally comparable to that from tobacco use. Very interesting. And so some other snippets worth sharing. This review shows that the association between moderate cannabis use and psychosis is no stronger and often considerably weaker than the corresponding association for moderate tobacco use. Very interesting. Well, secondly, for the risk of traffic accident, the review confirms that the risk from alcohol use is substantially stronger than the risk from cannabis use, because alcohol and cannabis are not the same, and alcohol is a far more harmful and toxic substance. Well, lastly, cannabis and tobacco use disorder, we can just say addiction to a substance, because you're masking an underlying problem that you don't want to deal with, are probably both both associated with underlying problems and life issues that are in and of themselves associated with psychopathology. And further highlights that the chemical imbalance argument that has reigned supreme in medicine for the last 7 years and required opioids as a solution might not be the right approach to medicine, as they are proven to just be band-aids that mask the symptom as opposed to solving the underlying root issue. And so fascinating. You can grab the link below if you want to read more into that. Well, lastly, this one from Cannabis.net, highlighting that cannabis is indeed the best natural treatment for Parkinson's disease. New medical studies show, and this is why we should deschedule the plant so that anyone that needs medical cannabis or access to medical cannabis can get it. And so you can pause to read this first snippet here, but it mainly just highlights the problem with the current status quo. That is, using pharmaceutical medications to try and treat Parkinson's with their endless list of side effects and the ability to crash their dopamine levels. So clearly it hasn't worked very well. And apparently along with that, the side effects of Parkinson's medications include nausea, low blood pressure, involuntary movements, hallucination, confusion, and behavioral issues such as the uncontrollable need to have sex or gamble. Like what? Not just alcohol, but I guess that's, pharmaceutical drugs cause people to do this as well. So yeah, cannabis is clearly the problem. Thankfully, more patients are finding hope using cannabis-based medications. And so what the study says, just jumping down to this, they found 54% of existing patients who were using cannabis strains for Parkinson's said they were beneficial, and it was overall tolerated well. So that's more than 50%. More than 40% of them said cannabis was effective in managing muscle cramps and pain, while over 20% said that it helped reduce stiffness, anxiety, tremors, freezing, and restless legs. Well, our data confirm that PD patients have had high interest in treatment with medical cannabis but lacked knowledge about how to take it, and especially the differences between the two main cannabinoids, THC and CBD, buprenorphine. And of course, the more we normalize this, the more we will get to what the perfect ratio is between THC and CBD and other different little things like that we can work on to make this a better medicine for anyone that needs it. And so lastly, with all the tremendously positive feedback from the patients, it shows that cannabis is promising as a natural alternative to current Parkinson's medications. There's still so much we don't know about it, such as the best THC-CBD ratio and the route of administration, but with more studies like this out there, and the more studies keep coming, and we love to see it, we should know more in no time. And we know a lot more if we descheduled ages ago, but regardless, just happy to share that the news is coming out and that it is the right time to get this done. And that is it for today's episode, folks. I want to thank you so much for tuning in, and I really hope you got some value out of it. What did you think of the stories mentioned? Let me know in the comments if you have any questions or suggestions, and I'd be happy to address them. But besides that, if you enjoyed this video and you learned something, please just leave a like on it. Subscribe below if you don't want to miss any future videos, and I will catch you on Sunday for This Week in Cannabis News. Have a great week, everybody.